Sound like what?
Cowbell. Blue Oyster Cult.
Yeah. Also, too, if you what is it? If you have a fever, the only prescription is more cowbell. I got a fever, and the only prescription is more cowbell. Is that what's his name? What was his name? God, I can never think of his name.
You went from Adam Sandler in Little Nicky to Christopher Walken really
yes.
quick.
Yeah, so that's who said the more cowbell part in Saturday Night Live was Christopher Walken. So that's what I tried to get to was the Christopher Walken voice. Sorry, it took me a while.
But you started with Little Nicky. It was really funny.
I'm in the South, the deep South.
Ice chicken is fucking awesome.
No, I'm actually drinking on pre-workout, actually. I'm probably going to catch a lift after this, so whatever.
Yeah, same.
Oh, are you? What are you hitting today?
Legs.
Wow. You know, that's like the one thing about like running I'm falling into is like, man, I just hate doing legs right now. And I'm noticing how smaller my legs are compared to before.
Honestly, it's probably just a carbs thing. I think you're like way deficient in carbs, especially like weight continues to go down.
I need carbs.
Dude, I'm serious. But you're right. Like, I think I was saying like you need to add like 300 to 400 grams of carbs in. Like you should probably add it in like 30, 40 at a time. You know,
would it be bad if I told you? So on the running days, I have been trying to like hit like 100 extra carbs on like my running days. Obviously throughout the other days, like I kind of just keep it steady. Would it be bad influence to the Gainz community that I drank some of my carbs in wine form yesterday?
Hey, carbs are carbs.
You know what
metabolizes, so that is something to consider, especially the dehydrating impact. How often do you run a week? Like how many times? What's your frequency?
Right now, just once still. Like I'm just hoping to just continue to once a week. Honestly, it's been fine. Like the enjoyment wise, it's been fine. Like it's like okay, it's once a week. I don't have to like manage it like 2-3 times a week. And usually I'm trying to wake up early for it. So it's like I wake up like maybe an hour earlier, an hour and a half earlier than I normally do. So it's helping me like prep for the time because I'm pretty sure when we're running the marathon, I think it starts at like 4 a.m. anyway. So it's like I'm prepping I don't know. It's like I want to put myself in the shoes of like competition day as much as possible. So it's like that's why I've been trying to do it early mornings. That's why I was talking to you about it, trying to get my meal down for it, and then like, and then train for it, obviously. So it's like that's like the 3 things. I'm trying to perfect it as much as possible, and maybe I'm putting too much effort into that, but I'd rather put too much than too little.
No, I honestly like that's like such a big point. Like the meal thing. Like I don't know how many people think about that, but that's something that like I'm kind of kicking myself that I haven't focused on even more. So I'm probably gonna do for like the morning of the Tough Mudder, some sort of like egg and rice mixture, maybe with like a piece of fruit, banana or apple, or I'm gonna do just Greek yogurt, a piece of fruit, apple or banana, and like some chocolate chips. So that's like kind of what I've been experimenting with meals. But I haven't done too many early morning runs because it's like I'll take the dogs for a walk or I'll get a workout in, for example. So my runs have been like around lunchtime or
afterwards, right?
Yeah, this weekend my brother and I think I don't know, I just wasn't like in the mood to eat, so we went for like a 7-mile run, and I think it was just fasted.
Yeah, there you go. We got to talk about that too, but keep going.
No, so that's ingenious. Like if you are training for an endurance activity like a run, like a marathon, half marathon, even if it's like a 5K, I would highly recommend multiple times you practice that meal before you run. It doesn't matter. Like, don't worry too much about the distance. Like for your longer runs, yes, you should still do that, but just try to get that meal in before you run. So like, okay, so many different factors. Meal timing. If you eat 30 minutes before you run, are you gonna yak it up? Not good. push it out to 45 to 60 minutes.
I'm at right now. I'm at 30 minutes and I'm fine.
Yeah.
But yes, that's funny how you say that because like I don't want to wake up right now. I'm trying to push it where it's like I'm trying to just see how close I could get. So I feel like 30 minutes is probably like the least amount of time I'd ever do it. If it was like less than 30 minutes, I probably would wait. Like I cannot. I feel like I would not be able to do it sub 30 or less than 30.
Yeah, and here's the thing, like, too, you're gonna have nerves the morning of the event, like, and probably for good reason. And like, it's okay if you do. Still try to get some food down. If it's not the whole meal, that's okay. But it's still important to have something like in you. It's if you ended up having to do it fasted, would it like completely like be catastrophic? Unless it's like a marathon, probably not. Like even a half marathon, most people will be fine. Marathons is where people kind of have to get crafty and creative with how they refuel. You'll never be able to refuel, for example, like during the race. So if you've been
that'd be too much food.
Drinking and stuff like that, like drinking alcohol for like multiple days, going on a bender, not good. Like that's a recipe for people like being dehydrated, for example. But no, I mean we could like have a whole podcast about this, and maybe we'll have to at a future. But no, that's honestly, I think you're putting an awesome focus in appropriate areas, and you're practicing it, and that's exactly what practice is for, is to help you train, get your joints, your ligaments, your muscles used to that type of modality. But also it's important to get into the mental aspect of it with food timing and all that stuff, time of day.
I'll tell you right now what it is actually. And it's actually almost 500 calories to be exact. It's like 489, but obviously plus or minus. But it's 70 grams of oats, 2 tablespoons or 12 grams of PB2 powdered peanut butter. Obviously, I know Roman can't eat that, but I've always, if you have sun butter, just substitute with that. A tablespoon of honey, and then a scoop of protein powder. And then, like I was telling you guys before, I don't record like fruits and stuff right now. Obviously, it's if you're dieting and stuff, I would say if you're eating big servings of fruit and stuff, maybe record it. But this is for me. Obviously, I'm telling you what I do, not for like suggestions and information for you. But yeah, that's. I want to say it was roughly, and then I'll put a little. So I do. Roman can't have this again, but I put a little almond milk in there. I might try to do Kefir in there or whole milk next time just to get some more calories in there. But I'm just trying to keep the fats a little bit lower. But I think it's sub 80 grams. I upped it 10 carbs because I think I did 60 grams of oats last week. And then this week I did 70 grams because I just added an extra mile. So I was like, well, let's see how it feels with 70 grams of oats. But I think it was sub 80 carbs, sub 28 to 35 protein, and then 5 or under fats. And then I just do overnight. So I'm a convenient. I feel because I just want to make sure I able to get it down and digest it and get out there at a reasonable time, because I'm in Arizona, you got to remember, so it's starting to get flipping hot if I wait till later in the morning to run. But I just do and this is, and you could do it too, say if you're training for an early morning thing, I just do that overnight oats. I'll get it all ready from the night before. I'll chop a banana up and put it in there too, or I'll have a banana on the side if I forget to put the banana in the oats. But I put everything in a bowl, mix it up, put it in the fridge, let it soak, and then obviously in the next day it's it's really thick, and it's fine. Some people don't like cold oats. I don't prefer cold oats. But back to what Roman always says, Roman and I are kind of like machines. We don't really care. We don't really care about sometimes the texture or the taste. Sometimes it's just numbers to us at that point. And it's numbers to me. I don't really care. I'm not sitting there having a nice fine dine breakfast before I'm running, because I'm just trying to figure out a meal beforehand, and then I'll usually what's nice is I have the Nespresso machine, and it's like the espresso pod machine for coffee. I'll just do one espresso shot, which I don't even know the milligrams of caffeine. Maybe it's 100 to 200 milligrams. I'm only doing that big range because I think it's like around that range of milligrams. And then I do the shot of espresso instead of a cup of coffee because, like I think Roman mentioned the one time, I don't want to be having the pee like the whole time while I'm running. And the shot of espresso is just like enough liquid, but also gives me enough like caffeine. I'm not a big caffeine drinker like right in the morning anyways. So like my running days are the only time like I have caffeine right away. Most days it takes me like 2-3 hours to finish a cup of coffee, and I don't drink my cup of coffee until like an hour after waking up. So that's like the only thing that changes like from a day-to-day basis. So
super cool, buddy. I love it.
Are you is it Tough Mudder for you in the morning too then, or?
Yeah, I think it starts at like start times are like 8 to 8:40 or something like that. 8:20 to 9.
Yeah. And also too, what about that 7-mile run? How'd that go? Like you said, it was like pretty much fasted. How did that go? Because that's like the furthest you've ran probably in a while, huh?
In a long time. It was super slow. But my brother and I, we just like took it super leisure. Our fastest mile time was like just barely 13, like sub 13 minutes. So it was like all mile times were between like 13 and 14 minutes. Between mile, I think 3 and 4, I had to pee so bad. So we just like ducked into the woods. There's like a nice bit of woods that I was aware of like along the route. And then, did the business, and then we back on. And the plan was just to like run up like 3.5 miles and then run back. But Mason, my brother, was like an absolute champ. He was like, no, let's keep going. And we did the 7 miles, and then we walked like another 2.5 miles home. So like all said and done, by the time we got back,
It's like 9 miles.
Yeah, and before like I don't know, like 8 a.m. in the morning, we had already done like 20,000 steps. So I was like, all right, we're done for the day.
You know what's funny that you say that too is, I mean, those pace times, I feel like that, like if you could keep that pace anyways, that's probably the pace you're gonna be running in the Tough Mudder because of the obstacles.
Yep.
Like, I mean, when I did the Warrior Dash, like granted it was only a 5K, and it was just a little over 3 miles. But like after every obstacle, like we weren't at our like happy-go-lucky pace the whole time. So like you think that's like a leisure time for like 12, 13 minutes, but like in reality, like even the people that run all the time, I feel like that's probably going to be their pace too. Like I don't feel, especially when you're exhausting like your core muscles and stuff. Like I don't think like you're going to see people out there with like 7-minute paces just blowing past you. I doubt that. Yeah.
I mean, I've done that before. Like I've done 10 miles sub 8-minute pace. I've done 3 miles at like a 6-minute pace.
That's crazy.
Oh man, it's just like my aerobic endurance used to be absolutely just like, but I used to weigh like 130 something pounds too. I'm all 5'5" nothing. So it's like I have like I'm an ant when it comes to wind resistance. So I just cut right through the wind. I'm like 2D. I'm like. Whoop, whoop.
You know what sucks is you're moving back and I'm moving back and man, I really wanted to get back into like basketball again, and because I've been talking to my other friends, like I feel like that helps like build your endurance again playing basketball. Obviously the cutting is a little bit different when it comes to the straight running and like cutting back and forth on a basketball court. But speaking of which, guys, if you guys haven't noticed by now, you've been listening for 14 minutes. We talked a whole bunch, and obviously I think we were supposed to talk about other things today, but we could just keep rolling on the subject. But Roman made a big like definition and distinguish like conversation we've had before, and it does sound repetitive, but if you guys notice, we talked about meal timing. If you haven't listened to like the podcast before, I mean, because we're talking about an endurance event, look how it correlates with lifting, and look how it correlates with when Roman talks about like, hey, when you are working out in the afternoon or evening, maybe you should plan one of those higher carbohydrates, moderate protein, and lower fat meal before a weight training session. Or if your training involves a lot more fat burning exercise, like maybe do moderate fats, little bit lower carbs, and like moderate protein. So it's funny how we're going like full circle, because you brought up like a good point in like a memory to me, when it came to my two bodybuilding shows, because I remember like I knew the whole itinerary when it came to like the bodybuilding show aspect, like the posing in the morning and the posing at night, but like even with a bodybuilding show, weight training, like I was still, and maybe that's why I have like the ability to realize that and like the knowledge of it, because when I was doing my bodybuilding show, I probably ate like the same foods I was eating when I was at home, but I just obviously increased like the carb dosage because, when you're entering a bodybuilding show, you want to make sure all the muscles and the muscle bellies are full with water and carbohydrates and hydration of the muscles, like sodium, potassium levels, all that good stuff. So I remember just sitting there at the bodybuilding show. Like obviously we got there like the day before and we were like prepped, and I brought like pretty much like a suitcase full of food. Like, and I brought like my protein powder, like oats with me, my powdered peanut butter, my rice cakes, like all this stuff. Like I was consistently eating to the show. And then, like I said, just the increased amount of food, like at the show, just to get that big pump in the muscles. So, I look a little bit fuller on stage, but like, it's like crazy. It's like, you don't realize it, but if you give that muscle memory to like your digestion system, and you're mentioning like your ligaments, your muscle bellies, like if you're training at that time, like your body's going to be used to be like, okay, well, it's competition day. Maybe the nerves are kicking, but I just ate my meal. I had the same exact meal. I've been doing this. This should be nothing. I went to the bathroom, number two, most likely. So everything's out of my system and I'm ready to go for this event. So that's like the biggest thing. That's like, I wanted to throw that out there. Also too, on my, speaking of like meal timings and like meal selection, on my second bodybuilding show, it was in Illinois. So most of my family was able to go. And so we got there like the night before and we all went out to dinner. And like the next day is like pretty much the morning show and then the night show. I remember eating like steak, asparagus, and like mashed potatoes at dinner, right? And I remember I didn't touch that food really too much like during like the prep. And I remember just being, and I had a glass of wine at dinner. And it's crazy. It's like my body did not digest it that well. I remember like going to bed, like I felt like there was like a rock in my stomach. It also made me really constipated. So like, because I didn't have the right meal selections, like I wasn't able to like go number two, like for like 24 hours straight. So like my body wasn't digesting like appropriately, to not give me like the better pump, because like I think my first show I did a lot better job when it came to like that consistency. And the second one, because of like I had a lot more people there, it was like just for fun. It was like kind of like, well, both of them were for fun, but you could tell a difference because that's like really what happened. It's like the second show, like I was like, I became constipated for like 24 hours, and like all the stuff I was eating. I remember like my brother wanted to go get cupcakes, so I had like a cupcake, and like I wasn't eating cupcakes on prep. Like I remember just like feeling bloated, feeling constipated, and like the pump was definitely not there compared to like the first show. But like that could happen to you, like for this marathon, or if Roman's at this Tough Mudder, and like for some reason both of us, like the day of, like we just like we, instead of doing like our normal meal, like Roman doesn't do like the rice and egg combo and like the Greek yogurt and fruit, and for some reason he just decides to have McDonald's McGriddles for breakfast. Not that Roman would ever do that anyways. Because I just know personally, I'm just making him an example. But if he got that, like, there's probably I'd say 70% or higher chance, like he's gonna feel like shit. And when he feels like shit, he's not gonna want to run. He's not gonna want to do the obstacles, and he's gonna feel like shit the whole day. So like even for this marathon, like it's in Florida. It's in a whole different state. I have to fly there. I have to sleep in a hotel. I'm not gonna sleep in the same bed. But you're damn right. I'm gonna make everything like 100% to the T, like what I was doing when I was, in Arizona running or in Illinois running, stuff like that. So does that make sense, Roman? Anything you wanted to add into that? That was a lot.
Yeah, no, it is. But there will also be variables you can't control too. For example, unless it's like pretty like hot and humid, like irregularly in Illinois, if you're in Illinois, and if in Arizona, it's like, well, you're not going to be able to replicate it. It's going to most definitely be humid in Florida. So that'll be different. That'll be a different challenge. But the reason why I can say that you'll be totally fine, because you have all the other boxes ticked off. You've already like practiced the meal. There's so many things with like meal timing, which are so important. You might not, like when you get like nervous or whatever before an event, you might not agree very well with like a high fat meal, for example. So you might have to experiment with that. Or maybe you want moderate fats because that helps you to like feel more full. Or you wanted like a lot of carbs before the meal because you feel that gives you a little bit more zip or pep. Me personally, I like to have like quite a bit of protein before I do something like physically active, because it makes me feel like the best. Like I don't really know how to describe it other than like my body feels like it is just like the most prepped to do physical activity. So for example, if I were to have a meal that was like something small, like 3 to 4 hours before I do like a hard workout, or like play a game of basketball or something, like any type of soreness that I have like from former like or previous resistance exercise like workouts, I would feel that during the activity, and I might not be able to be like as like fast or agile. But if I have like an adequate protein feeding, for example, anywhere between like 30 to 50 grams of protein of a high quality source is usually like my sweet spot. Anywhere between like 1 to 2 hours, but before I do like some intense physical activity, that's usually when I feel the best, like just overall the quote unquote best, whatever that is subjectively to me. So that's like what I found out, but it's important to find out what that is for you.
Yeah, and yeah, not to say that you need that's probably why I was trying to add an example, but like not to say that you need a lot of carbs, you need a lot of fat, need a lot of protein. I think it's like Roman was saying, subjective to you and like how you feel, because there's definitely times like I feel like sometimes like higher protein like binds me up and like gets me a little gassy. So like Roman right there, like obviously he's different from me when it comes to like activity. Like for me, like that's why I choose to like do like 35 grams or less protein before I'm doing like the long distance training. Also, speaking of like meals and stuff, I want to start experimenting. I haven't done it yet because I've just been kind of lazy about it, but because I got this with the bone conduction headphones my brother got me. It came with like a pretty like sporty fanny pack, and I don't know when or how or why, but I wonder like if I should like get like fast digested like carbohydrate like the gels. Have you seen those?
Yeah. Yep.
My other brother that does like the marathon running, he uses them, and I bought them for him, and he says he loves those things. Like I bought it from him, I didn't even ask him he used them. He goes, "Dude, I love those things. Like, how'd you know?" So I don't know how I feel about like, I don't know. I want to start experimenting with him because I have like 12 more miles because I'm at 14 total miles. So I don't know. I don't know. Maybe I'll start soon. I feel like right now I've been fine. Like I'll on the run. Like the only thing that bothers me is like how freaking like hot I am at that afterwards, obviously from being in the sun. And then like I'll take a cold shower, and then like I'll even eat like 30 minutes after that. So like the food thing is not really that big for me, but I'm wondering how if I like would have like that second burst of energy, or that second wind of energy. So I might try to do that sooner or later. I'm not sure. I just don't know if it's gonna benefit me more, but I need to experiment more with that. So.
And you bring like a
Camelback backpack.
back with water, right?
Yeah, I think the thing is 2 liters, maybe 2.5 liters. And then pretty much what I do is I just fill it with water, and then I'll do a little bit of flavoring in there, like sugar-free flavoring. Like obviously, like we talked about before, we don't know calories, no calories, whatever the hell you want to call it. And then I put table salt in there too. Um, so it's been working fine. I was gonna I think before I was trying to use those like hydration packs and like tossing the powder in there, but I've been getting the same freaking results with just the dollar flavoring enhancer and like the table salt that I already have. So there's no need to buy those liquid IVs, I don't think. In my opinion. I mean, maybe someone else feels like that too, but I feel like they're a huge waste of money, and the marketing and the markup alone is so free. Like, dude, Roman and I should come out with like a drink with just table salt and like the sugar-free flavoring, and we should come out with our own hydration drinks and like just kill the market, because our profits would be like 100%. Like maybe 99% actually, because the water, the plastic, the water, maybe we'll sell them where it's like powder form or not powder form, but like hydration, like shooter things where it shoots in the water. Because like I feel like, I don't know, but also too another a buddy of mine that's been training for a long time that I used to cook his food for him. I'm going on a tangent now. I told him to salt his water because he trains like an hour or two after he wakes up. And he said, salt, doesn't that dehydrate you? And I'm just like, but either way, so I only said that. So the context, long story short, was he told, like, I know he works out like an hour or two after he wakes up. He told me he drinks like a shaker cup water and maybe one cup, like a cup of coffee, and he has granola before he works out. So I suggested to him, pretty much like said like, hey, depending on your granola, I don't know if like you're making it yourself or if it's processed, but it may not have like too much sodium on there. I said, why don't you like add a dash of salt in your water and then maybe add like some eggs or a protein shake to that meal. So I'm having him try that because I told him, I'm like, when's like the last time you ate when you train like an hour and a half before like you wake up or after you wake up? And he's telling me like he doesn't eat for like, it's pretty much at like the 12-hour mark. He hasn't like ate any food. And like he works like second shift. So he's like 3 p.m. to 11 p.m. So like he'll go to bed at like 1 or 2 in the morning. So and I'm like, I doubt, and I'm pretty sure he doesn't eat that much before he goes to bed. So, but yeah, I suggested that to him. Today was his first day. So
He sounds like interesting. Sounds like he doesn't eat a lot.
well, that's what I was like, dude, if I trained like an hour or 2 hours after I woke up in the morning, dude, you bet your ass I'd have like pancakes or like oatmeal and like eggs. I'd have like either one. I'd probably have like all that before working out. So, but that's just me though. I feel like I have to have like a pretty decently sized meal before training. Like today I had like 100 grams of rice and salmon and like some beans, and then I think that was an hour ago, and I'm gonna go train after this. So
yeah, I can go either way. I definitely perform much better when I
hey now
not fasted. Yeah.
you said you could go either way. Sorry.
Oh yeah, and I think I said I can perform better if I'm not fasted, but I can get it done fasted if need be. I do that a lot. Other than like I do drink like sometimes I'll go without eating like first morning at like 5:30 in the morning or whatever, but to the gym. But I always drink coffee beforehand. Some people some people in the fasting community that are really hard up on fasting, they'll say that like that alters like the body's ability to like enter autophagy, yada yada, all these different like fasting states. So depending on what your rule is with caffeine, if caffeine breaks a fast, then I technically break the fast, but I don't eat sometimes before I work out, and I'm fine. But if I do work out, I can always get that extra like 1 or 2 reps. So it does absolutely make a difference.
Yeah, and I think I mentioned it before. I used to train fasted with my brother when we used to work out like early mornings, and like, like we were doing like power building stuff. Like, sometimes we'll bench, and then like most of the time it's like hypertrophic movements. But like, see, the thing is, like, I'm not even gonna lie. Like, by the end of some of those fasted workouts, I literally I felt like I could have blacked out. Like, and that's just my experience with it. Like, I did well most of the time, but I'll tell you this, like, I remember, I think I told you this story, but like, I used to work at Best Buy, and like, I started at 10 a.m. My brother and I would work out at like 8 a.m. We'd get done at like 9 a.m., 9:15. So I'd take a shower, pretty much leave for work, and then start working at 10 a.m. and then try to like have like a meal while like I was opening up the store. There's been times where I almost like passed out before the customers like walked in, because like I just wouldn't eat before like 10 a.m. pretty much. Yeah, I think that's when I was doing IF too. So like 10 a.m. My window was what, 10 a.m. to like, I don't know, 6 p.m., 7 p.m., something like that. I don't know.
Oh my God! So you would fast?
No, I would eat during that time. Sorry.
Oh, gotcha. Okay. I was gonna say, oh my God, I was like, I like feel like absolute dog poopy if it takes me like a couple hours to eat after a workout, because like usually, like, within like 1 to 2 hours before a workout, generally speaking. I think today I ate probably around 2:30, and then Eastern, and I'm gonna probably work out like 5:36, so it'll be like 3 hours ish. But I'm fine because it was like it had a good amount of fat in it, so usually fats keep me pretty like well balanced. It was like a hamburger and then a glass of milk and slice of pizza. So oops.
That sounds good.
Yeah, but what was, I lost my train of thought. Oh yeah, okay. So, but if I were to like wait like 6 hours after I worked out, and I was like fasting, like, for a couple hours like before that or my last meal, oh man, I would just feel like I could do it. I've done it before, in like weird situations, but like I'd feel like dog.
Yeah, you just feel so out of it. You're just like gone. That's how I can explain it. It's like you're just dazed and confused pretty much at that point. But all right, guys. Well, thank you guys for tuning in. We'll see you guys in the next one. Please follow us on Instagram, and then subscribe to both of our channels on YouTube. We're on all audio and video platforms. We'll catch you on the next one. Peace.